Football. I was leader of the team for about a week. My specialty was the quarterback sneak. I was sacked and attacked. My bag was packed when I got the word in the form of a blood.
Welcome to the Married with Picks podcast. Season 5, episode 15, week 15. All right, Steve, we have a lot of games to talk about because there are no bye weeks. So let's get started and let's try to keep it to a half an hour. Okay,
half
ready?
An hour.
Go.
Good luck.
First game.
These things are never half an hour.
Commanders at Saints.
You will never stop talking.
Commanders are 7.5 point favorites. We have the Commanders coming off the bye week. The Saints, it looks like they will be without Derek Carr. Obviously, no Taysom Hill, not much in the receiver department. It sounds like it will be Jake Haener to start. He is different than the guy that started the last time when Carr was out. I don't think he's that much better. Saints have a really bad run defense, so I think the Commanders will be able to run the ball. Jaden Daniels should be fully healthy since they're coming off the bye. I don't love the hook, but I'm going to take the Commanders.
I mean, it seems like a lot of points, especially Washington's on the road.
Does it seem like a lot of points?
I mean, it's a lot of points for Washington. They're not playing their best football, right?
Well, they laid it on the Titans pretty good before the bye week.
Yeah, it's just scary because it's on the road. But who's this guy? Jake Haener?
Yeah.
From Fresno State. He was a 2023 fourth round draft pick.
That they didn't start the last time, even though he's technically their second string quarterback.
Yeah, but you got so they're starting him over Riddler.
Over who?
Rattler.
Yes.
The Riddler. The Riddler.
Yes, they are.
You never heard him referred to as
See,
that?
this is what we don't have time for.
That up.
Okay. All right. Do you have a pick? I see you got the commander circled, but
yeah, I mean, I like the Commanders here. It's just tough because, you know, the Saints started at 2.5. Obviously, the injury, right, is the problem here. So you got to play against a rookie quarterback and think that the Commanders can step up and play some defense. It's just tough that it's on the road. I would like this game a lot more if Washington was at home, but small play, Washington.
Okay. Next game is the Bengals at the Titans. This is it opened, and it is at the Bengals -4.5. So the Titans had a few good games there, but they were really bad against the Commanders. And last week, they couldn't get anything going against the Jaguars. So I am not putting my money on the Titans. Bengals are 5-8 on the season. They're not technically eliminated from playoff contention, but I think their chances are pretty low. The wildcard teams are at 8-5, Baltimore Chargers and Broncos. So they would need to win out, and they would need some help along the way. I got to take the Bengals. I can't do the Titans. I did them once, and it was not good.
I know, but I feel like this is just like one of those games where everybody's going to be on the Bengals. It's another road game, right? There's a lot of like games that your first pick, your first instinct here this week is going to be go on the road team, but the road team is giving up a lot of points. This is a position where I just don't like them in traveling to the Titans, being on the road. As much as I don't like the Titans, I agree. The Bengals are just a hard team to watch this year because you expect so much more out of them, and they sputter all the time on offense. Everybody's acting like it's just the defense. The offense is driving to the 50, especially last game. You'd see a lot of times where they would move the ball, get a couple first downs, and once they got over the 50, the offense just sputtered, and they couldn't pick up the additional first down within the 4 downs to keep the drive going. So
do you think the Bengals fired their coach at the end of the season?
That's a really good question.
Because wouldn't this be like the perfect job for Belichick?
Yeah, but Belichick's
Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase.
Belichick's not going anywhere. I mean, he's just
he has a clause in his contract that he can get out if he gets an NFL job.
Yeah, but I think it's like a $10 million buyout if he does it before like July this year. So it almost locks him into being the North Carolina coach, for 1 year. It drops down to $1 million after like July 2025.
Yeah, but couldn't he?
He still technically could
Be a head
take over
coach?
an NFL program, but who's gonna NFL coaches aren't hired in June, July. They're already getting ready to go to camp, right?
Yeah, but when does camp start? As long as he's there day one of camp. I mean, it's Bill Belichick.
Yeah, I don't know. They'd have to have this. It just wouldn't make any sense unless it's a PR stunt for North Carolina to try to get some recruits. I don't know. Can't imagine it's just stunt. I think it's the clause is in there just so, because I don't know that he wants an NFL job. I think it's just that if there's a disaster and this blows up in his face.
I don't know
think
why
he's
he
gonna
would
have
want
to
a
recruit.
college job.
Oh, he just wants to coach, and he's just like, if I can make good money, and look, he's with college age girls. That's what he likes.
Whatever.
Who knows?
All right, that was an aside that we don't need to get into. Who's your pick? You taking the Titans? Are you really going to take the Titans?
Okay, this game for me, here's what I don't like. There's 93% of the actions on the Bengals. Only 7% on the Titans. Titans, home dog, right? 4.5. They can still lose this
I'm sure
game by
they've been
3
a home
and still
dog
cover.
at least 6 other times this year.
Well, it's funny you say that. This is my official buck the trend game, okay? Here's some bad trends for you, but it's just the area of the schedule. We talk about ebbs and flows of the schedule. I think this is a game that, as much as the Bengals can't really overlook anybody, they're not going to come in strong against the Titans. The buck the trend stats are Tennessee's 1-8 against the spread in their last 9. They're 0-6 against the spread in their last 6 home games. So the stats are not in their favor. Also, the Bengals are 6-1. Against the spread in their last 7 against Tennessee. So they've handled Tennessee in this series. But I think this is just a turn where everybody's going to be on the Bengals, and this is one of those games where you're like, son of a bitch, how did Tennessee cover this game? And that's why I'm going on Tennessee. Take the Titans and the points.
Okay. All right. Next game is the Dolphins at the Texans. This opened and is at Texans minus 2.5. Now, this is a tough one for me. I've been back and forth, so I think I'm probably just going to lay off. But generally, the Dolphins beat up on bad teams. They can't compete against the good ones. Texans, record-wise, are a good team. They're 8-5 on the season. They are coming off the bye. But I just don't trust them. The Dolphins, I think any of the games that they've really won and won by margin were games where they were able to get Joe Mixon going. The Dolphins do have a pretty good run defense. And otherwise, the Texans just don't blow teams out. This is kind of desperation mode for the Dolphins because they're in a similar situation to the Bengals. I think they're 6 and whatever.
6 and 7.
But
Looking
have
at
to
a
win
shot
out.
at the playoffs.
Probably have to win out and need some help.
Definitely.
What do you got? Who you going with?
Well, I'm trying to see where they stand from the playoff standpoint. They're 9th right in the conference.
And what's the 8th team?
The 8 team's Indianapolis. They're 6 and
their-
7, but they're not in the playoffs. Denver's got the playoff spot at 8 and 5. So you're right. They're 2 games back. They're going to have to win the game. It's basically a tiebreaker here from Indian. The Dolphins is that the Dolphins get the tiebreaker, but it doesn't matter because that's the tiebreak for eighth place. So as you alluded to, they pretty much can't lose many games going forward. They're 4-1 straight up in their last 5 against opponents, and they're dogs here. So the line doesn't come into play with that stat, so it's good. This is Devon A-Chain, right? See if he can get going, and who cannot. If you're not paying attention to Jonnu Smith, if you're lucky and you got him in fantasy, that's a great pick to have right now. He's scoring touchdowns every week. And it looks like Tua is really lighting it up to Jonnu Smith. So I like that. I think Tennessee is still just all season. You expect more out of them. It's almost like Cincinnati, but they're winning games. The Texans, I'm sorry. They're almost like Cincinnati where you're expecting more out of them. Expected Texans to be dominant, but they're not.
I mean, they haven't really beat anybody good.
really
And
just
they
comes
lost to the Titans.
Exactly. And this just comes down to me as the Dolphins are desperate and they're playing good football since
I don't trust either team, to be honest with you.
it's like I'm waiting for the shoe to drop on Tua, right? But Tua, since he's come back from the concussion, has looked solid. So that's the one thing you see from Tua is like he anticipates throws. You know, he anticipates guys going into breaks in a route, and he plays the quarterback position. It's much better when you compare it to like a Hurts.
Here's a question:
who waits too long?
Do you think that if you are a pass rusher and you're playing the Dolphins, given what happened, like Tua's history and what happened earlier in this season, like, are you hesitant to like sack him?
Honestly, if it was me, it would be something that would be in my head. And I think you have to address it before the game and tell yourself that, you know, you're going to be careful not to put any cheap shots down and go a little too aggressive. But you got to put it out of your head who you're playing against, and you got to make the plays. You got to go and sack them. I mean, you don't have to totally lay out and try to destroy this guy, right? No. But you have to mentally in your head say, I'm not going to lay up, because that's when you get yourself hurt.
All right. So I don't have.
I like the Dolphins here.
I don't have a pick on this game.
Yeah, I take the Dolphins. It's inside 3.
I would say my first instinct was Texans, but usually that's right. So I'm not going to switch off it.
Doesn't it seem like a tight game?
Yeah, but the line's 2.5.
Yeah. So
I could see it a field goal at the end, but all right. Next game, Chiefs at Browns. Opened at Chiefs -3. It's at Chiefs -4.5. So obviously the Chiefs continue to squeak out wins. Their last 5 games they've won by 3 points or less, and they had the 1 loss in there. Jameis Winston obviously has been throwing the ball around, both to his own team and to the opposite team. The Chiefs have clinched their division. They are 2 wins up from the next team in the AFC. So they they can lose 1 and still clinch the first round bye. They have some offensive line issues. It's apparently going to be windy in Cleveland this weekend. I don't know who that helps or hurts. I don't know if that's good for Jameis. And David Njoku is questionable. And despite all the talk about Jameis, all the games that he's played, I mean, he had the 1 win. But other than that, they've lost by significant, more than 7 points in all the games. So the Chiefs obviously generally don't cover. This is an awkward number. But I'm going to take the Chiefs.
I like the Chiefs here too. It's just as much as Browns could be a popular pick, and I want to take them. I want to see Jameis Winston make a move here, but I just think that the Chiefs are too good. Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs, is going to dial up a ton of blitzes, and that screams danger for Jameis. He might get him once or twice.
They have no run game. The Browns, they haven't been able to get the ball moving on the ground at all. I think Chubb's
Ford's doing nothing. Chubb's done. Ford's doing nothing. They really don't have anything.
They were going to be without Njoku. They're without the number 2 receiver. I can't think of his name. That leaves Jerry Jeudy, who obviously, Elijah Moore, but there was a rookie. I can't think of his name. But that leaves Jeudy, who, other than the game against Denver, which is kind of revenge, I mean, he's had a couple decent games, but so I don't know. I just think I got to go with the Chiefs on this one.
Talking about Cedric Tillman?
Yes. All right. Same side.
Yeah, Chiefs.
Okay. Next game is the Cowboys.
We're still in the 1 o'clock games.
Yes. There's a lot of 4 o'clock games, though. Cowboys at Panthers. Cowboys opened as 6.5 point favorites, and the line has shifted to Panthers -2.5. So since week 9, the Panthers have been competitive. Their last 3 games, they pretty much lost at the end. They got the typical Chiefs scenario where the Chiefs came out on top somehow. In that game, they should have beat the Bucs if Chuba Hubbard didn't fumble the ball in overtime. And obviously, they were 1 catch away from actually winning against you guys last week. I don't want to take the Panthers. It just feels weird to say that the Panthers are favored, but
exactly.
I got to take them. The Cowboys have a really bad run defense. That's what the Panthers want to do. Could be a big Chuba Hubbard game. Their rookie guy came back and now he's done. So
Mistake.
You're going to take the Cowboys? You like the Cowboys?
I'm going to take the Cowboys. I'm going to tell you why. This is a trend. The team, when you play the Eagles the next week, they lose the game. They don't play good.
Give yourself too much
Don't
credit.
play good. They get hurt. It's a physical game. And the Carolina Panthers just played the Eagles. All right?
No, see, if I'm the Panthers, I'm thinking this is my chance.
No. That's what everybody's going to think, and that's where everybody's going to go on the Panthers.
Well, and actually,
the Cowboys are going to win the game, at least cover. The line opened up at 6.5. Cowboys favorite is now down at Panthers 2.5.
Well, I know, but okay. So the open is a look ahead. So that was like summer, but 70%. So yeah,
summer breeze.
70% of the money is on the Cowboys.
I like the Cowboys too.
Okay. All right. Next game is the Jets at the Jaguars.
Another 1:00 game.
So the Jets were eliminated from playoff contention with their loss last week. Mac Jones will be starting for the Jaguars in this week, who obviously also are not in playoff contention. In his 3 starts, Mac Jones has thrown 0 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. I don't know what the motivation of either of these teams is. The Jets certainly have more talent on their roster. They have Breece Hall as questionable, and Evan Ingram, the tight end for the Jags, who seems to kind of be the guy that Mac Jones likes to throw it to, is out. Mac Jones has not been able to move the ball at all. So I lean Jets, but this is just not a game that you should probably waste any money on.
I beg to differ.
At 3 in the hook.
I think there's a value here. I love the hook. I think you take it. All day long, take the Jags at home, getting 3.5.
God.
Are you kidding me? The Jets are favored against anybody at 3.5.
You're taking the Titans and the Jags.
But you
not
keep
going to end
beating
well for you.
yourself in the head and you keep going Jets. I mean, what the hell is this? They're on the road. I know the Jaguars suck, right? But Mac Jones is familiar with this opponent, has played him every year that he's been in the NFL.
Who? The Jets?
Mac Jones, yeah. He's played 2 games against them every year.
But not
He's familiar
Aaron Rodgers.
with the opponent. He doesn't play against Aaron Rodgers. He plays against the Jets, the Jets defense.
Well, I could probably look up those.
The Jets are 2-8 against
I tell you, he probably did win because Belichick owned the Jets.
It's home dog, baby, all day long. I love the Jaguars here. Ooh. The Jets are 2-8 in their last 10 against the spread. They're 1-9 straight up in their last 10. They're favored, so that comes into play again. The Jaguars are 5-1-1 in their last 7 against the spread. I know the Jags suck, but they're covering. Take the Jags.
Okay.
Don't take the Jags or lay off. Don't take the Jets.
Okay. That's fine.
It's a bad spot for the Jets.
All right.
Aaron Rodgers checked out.
All right. Next game is the Ravens at the Giants. This line is at 16.5. Giants are going to be starting Tommy DeVito.
Ooh.
They have not been able to move the ball at all on offense. They have injuries on their offensive line in addition to the injuries on their defensive line. I mean, the Ravens certainly will be able to dominate this game on both sides of the ball. Ravens have a good run defense, so that means that the Giants would have to win it through the air, which I don't think they're going to do. Ravens lost to Philadelphia, had a bye week. They're now taking on the Giants. They have the Steelers next week, so that would be the points of concern for me. It's a lot of points. I could certainly see this being like a 40-3 final score. But quite frankly, if it's not the Lions, I'm not taking anybody at 16.5.
I know. That's why it's like kills me here. Like, I want to say no
So
play.
I would say put it in a teaser and call it a day.
I'd say take the Giants. It's so many points.
I refuse to take the Giants. Giants are not trying to win.
Yeah, but could you see it being like a 20-point spread, like maybe 20-3?
Because they're actually...
and then DeVito takes them down at home, like at the end, and puts a backdoor touchdown in there and covers.
No.
Because do you even think it's going to stop at 16.5? I mean, this is Friday night. The line's probably going to be at least 17 by the time
the money is on the Giants, like slightly in favor of the Giants.
Wow. That's interesting.
So, but right now the Giants and I think, is it the Panthers are tied for the first pick? So, I mean, that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's what they're doing. So, I would not take the Giants. But I won't take the Ravens at 16.5, but I could see them covering. I just question, like with the Steelers next week, is this like a spot game that's just, you know. So, all right. So are you taking
88% on Baltimore? That's what I'm saying.
I shared it slightly on the Giants earlier.
I don't know.
Where are you looking?
Looking at Odd Sharks.
All right.
88% on Baltimore.
Where do you even see this? Okay.
Okay. So, listen, just keep rolling with the podcast. I don't know why you're staring at my computer. It's got all my wins in there.
Okay. Next game. Colts at Broncos. Mm-hmm. The Broncos are 3.5-point favorites. Both these teams are coming off the bye week. As far as I'm concerned, this game is going to be won or lost in the trenches. So Bo Nix is better when he's not pressured. I don't think the Colts have a great pass rush, but it might be decent. I do wonder if the Denver defense might just be too much for Anthony Richardson. Josh Downs is questionable. Their center, Ryan Kelly, is questionable. And their tackle, Braden Smith, has already been ruled out. Denver, every week, has like the shortest injury report of any team. But they are going to be without cornerback Riley Moss in this one. I have the Broncos are perhaps my new favorite team because every time I bet them, they win. So I'm taking the Broncos.
Wow, and it scared me off the Colts. I like the Colts. I think that Anthony Richardson is going to be able to run for a couple touchdowns against this defense.
Tough place to play.
Yeah, I just see him like being able to probably like run and get caught, catch them in a couple man coverages. They're very aggressive. You know, they're running downfield. Their defense is running downfield while Anthony Richardson's running right there with them. I just think he'll be able to have a little bit of success, at least enough against Denver that he can keep this within a field goal.
And I guess the Colts are in playoff contention.
Yeah, Colts 10-3 against the spread their last 13 games against Denver.
You know what I say about that? What was I going to say? I mean, I like taking the Colts as like a dog in a lot of games, but against Denver, I just don't think it's a good spot for them. I like
It's starting to get to the end of the season, right? You got to watch some of these rookie quarterbacks not used to like playing this long of a season. They're going to start showing some wear and tear.
Yeah, so who's that going to hurt more, though?
Bo Nix.
Well, what about Anthony Richardson?
Bo Nix is younger. He's a rookie this year.
He's a rookie. Okay, but Anthony Richardson played 4 games in his rookie season last year. This is his first full season, and he hasn't even played every game.
Exactly. So that goes against what I'm saying because I'm talking about him, Bo Nix, specifically, right?
I don't think he's going to wear down because
he's
going like this on the season. You don't wear down when you're riding a high.
Okay.
Winning games.
I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm just trying to point out the fact that Anthony Richardson, you're correct, has been injured and hasn't played and had the wear and tear on his body.
No, he wasn't injured. He was benched. He was benched.
Just be quiet for a second, okay?
No. I get it.
He hasn't played every game. He's sat out, whether it's fucking because he's injured, because he's benched. He's been out and he hasn't.
So that's what you're basing your pick on?
Of the pain of playing every game of the season. Bo Nix is a rookie quarterback, first year, played every single game. He's gonna start showing.
Did I mention that
quarterback play? And I think it's going to start in this game.
Both
at least
teams
enough for them to keep the game
coming
within 3
off their
points.
bye. So I'm sure he had a chance to recoup a little bit.
This sounds like a bet.
Fine.
I want
3.
3.5. No, bullshit. It's 3.5.
All right, fine.
Pull that with me.
All right, next game.
That's a move I would make. Good job. I'm proud of you. That was strong.
The Patriots at the Cardinals. Cardinals are 6.5-point favorites. Patriots are coming off a bye. Cardinals, 3 straight losses after coming off their bye. 2 versus Seattle, which I think is just one of those division things. And a 1-point loss to Minnesota, who obviously has a good defense. So this could be a get right spot for the Cardinals. They will be able to move the ball. I guess the question is, what did the Patriots do during their bye week? Did they try to get some things straightened out? I don't know. You're distracting me. Cardinals are 6-7. They are now 2 games back in the division.
Yeah.
I don't love 6.5 points.
No, how can you? Jesus. Cardinals. How are you giving up 6.5? Probably it could be a touchdown by kickoff. I mean, I can't get over the line.
Here's the other thing that, with the overtime now, like with the rules, they don't kick the extra point. So that like 6.5 is different. Because I could see it going to overtime. Like I could see it being close.
6.5 is an advantage because if you get overtime, you're already the game's
dead.
over.
Yeah.
Well, you could already win. It could be an
that's
advantage.
true.
Like let's say you take.
But there are situations where, like the game where Eberflus got fired, like I was expecting them to kick a field goal, and I'm like, oh, good, because I had the Lions on my teaser card at 4.5. So it was like I needed it to go to overtime. But just pointing that out. So
there's 6-3-10 teams, and 5 of them are in the AFC. That's just weird. A lot of 3-10 teams. It's bad football. Patriots are 3-10.
All right. I'm taking the Cardinals. I don't care.
Are you?
Yeah.
All right. I want to take the Patriots here. I just think that, they can keep it close here. Okay. Within a 6.5, I see it as being a tight game. At least I like the rookie quarterback that they have, May. He looks pretty strong. I think he can score enough points, and the team can get it together to keep it at least close enough with Arizona. Arizona shouldn't be 6.5 point favorites against anybody. So I think that's what you have to stick with and just trust the points.
Perhaps.
Go Patriots.
It's not a strong take for me, but
it doesn't even flow right out of my mouth. It's hard to say go Patriots.
All right. Next game is the Bucs at the Chargers. No. Chargers are 3-point favorites. So we have Justin Herbert with a leg contusion and an ankle sprain. Right. Lad McConkey is questionable, and I don't know what the deal is with Will Dissly because he got hurt last game, but he didn't have a injury designation, but he was DNP at practice.
So is Herbert definitely playing?
Yeah. But we saw him play earlier in the season with the ankle thing. It's a different ankle, apparently, but he was less effective, I think, in those games. He doesn't have a whole lot of pass catchers, so if Vlad McConkey doesn't play, that is certainly concerning. They don't have any run game at this point either. Now, on the other side, the Bucs, Bucky Irving is questionable.
He didn't practice.
But I will take the points with the Bucs for sure.
They said there was a section of the practice Friday where the media wasn't there, so he may have came back out, but he was practicing a little bit before with the trainer on the side, but didn't run through the regular walkthrough Friday with the team. He did not practice Wednesday. He did not practice Thursday. That's going to be a big problem, but you still have White in Tampa. But I think the key here for Tampa to win, to have success, they have to have at least now it's got to be Mike Williams healthy and playing, right? Now that Mike Williams is one of the only 2 studs that they have. Jalen McMillan's the rookie. I think with the 2 of them combined healthy on the field and you still have White running the ball, it's enough to get past the injury-prone here now Chargers who are getting beat up.
Now, Mike Evans didn't do much last week, but he has had 10 seasons of 1,000 yards. And he needs 400 to get that this year. But anyway, all right.
So better get to work.
Yeah, who's your pick? The Bucs?
I like the Bucs.
Okay. All right. Next game is the Steelers at the Eagles. Eagles are 5.5 point favorites. So this one is tough. George Pickens has already been ruled out. I am not a fan of Russell Wilson. I was not buying into him. And I didn't think that what he was doing was sustainable, but the Steelers keep winning. I would certainly take the points with the Steelers if he was out there. I'm worried a little bit about him not being out there. However, on the other side of the ball, we have some drama in the locker room, again, with your Eagles. So A.J. Brown, not happy. I guess he doesn't like Saquon getting all the attention. Brandon Graham certainly alluded or actually outright stated that there is some personal beef between A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. Now, Mike Tomlin has always done a good job at defending Lamar and the Ravens. So I kind of feel like maybe this is a similar situation where he can frustrate Jalen Hurts as well. Now, here's some stats that you'll like. Russell Wilson is 6-0 in his career versus the Eagles. And the Steelers have not won in Philadelphia in 59 years. One other thing to mention, Jake Elliott is 0-5 on field goal attempts over 50 yards.
Yeah,
his last 5.
He's struggling.
So, I mean, if it comes down to a defensive battle, the Steelers have won several games this year, only kicking field goals. You guys are certainly going to lose in that department. I'm going to stick with my original purge. I would feel much better if Pickens was out there. The other thing of concern is that this is one where the money is heavily on the Steelers. But I'm going to stick with the Steelers. What you got?
This game is tough because I've been looking forward to this game all season, and I just don't like the way that the two teams are going. I'm still going to talk about it because it's really plays right into the way I'm leaning towards this game. And when I say leaning, it's already been decided. But the problem here, I guess we should just say, is Russell Wilson. I've seen a lot of bad Russell Wilson games against the Eagles where the Eagles just don't seem to have an answer for him, especially if they've been bottling him up all game. At the end, he seems to put a drive together that gets the win. I'm worried about Russell Wilson. He's 5-0 in the regular season against the Eagles. He's 1-0 against them in the playoffs. 6-0 combined, as Jaclyn said. But the problem here is that the Steelers, I like to just listen to Tomlin, the way he's got the team ready to play. Like, he's looking at it as a battle of Pennsylvania, and he's making like this into a game that matters, when in reality, this is just another interconference game that, probably means a little bit less in the big picture of things, because a loss doesn't hurt you as much when you're battling against teams in your conference for the playoff positioning. So this is a game that I think the Eagles, I'm not as concerned about the whole bullshit that's going on with A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. True, they might be not as good of friends as they were before, but I don't think that's a problem. I don't think that's what's holding us back. Basically, I think Jalen's he's just struggling, to pick up this offense in a masterful way. It's not forget that Jalen Hurts he's the quarterback of a first-year offense in that system. Quarterbacks never usually throw the ball that well, but I'm not trying to make excuses for the guy who holds the ball too long and never anticipates the break. If he never throws the ball in the air before the receiver goes into a break, those are things that are like a pure passer will do. The thing is, you got to know that that's Jalen Hurts, okay? He's not going to be Tom Brady, throwing a 10-yard post and letting go of the ball when the guy's 8 yards into running straight down the field, but 2 yards before he even gets to the post part, right? That's not him. The advantage to him is that Tom Brady's not going to run the ball 10 times and get 120 yards, or run the ball, 8 times and get 2 sneak tush pushes, because the guy can bench or he can squat, 700, 800 pounds, because his legs are so powerful. Let's not pretend ourselves like this tush push thing is, the tight end and the running back pushing him on his ass, and that's what's propelling him into the end zone. It's his leg strength getting down and being able, and if anybody, it's the center ability to get down low and fire. Okay, but it has nothing to do with the people pushing him in the back. It's all about the way that he has this
analysis
crazy
of the tush
strength.
push right
I'm just
now.
trying to say that I don't like the way people are making too big of a deal out of the guy just saying we need to work on our passing game. That's what happened. A.J. Brown said we need to work on
A.J.
it.
Brown is totally a diva. He's not happy because he's not.
Listen.
Dude,
Listen,
he's already
any
proved
receiver,
himself to be a
any
diva
receiver
in
that
Tennessee,
was in A.J. Brown's position.
Philadelphia.
No, if any receiver's in the position that A.J. Brown's in, right, where the running back has come onto this team new and has taken the league by storm, let alone the team, and is getting all the press, and in the last 6 games, A.J. hasn't done shit, I would also be in my head like, damn, I'm not getting any play. Like, I'm not getting enough. He's not throwing me the ball. I would at least be saying it in my head. I wouldn't say anything out loud. Now, the reporter asked him, if there's anything on the offense that you can work on. What is it? Because you guys have been winning so much. He's like, passing game. Okay, well, he's right. But it's not really AJ. It has to be, even though he just said the passing game.
Well, I
But he
think what's
didn't name
more
Hurts. It's clearly a shot at Hurts because AJ can't do anything more than run his routes, and he's not getting delivered the ball.
Well, I know, but I think what's more concerning is Brandon Graham goes out there and says, like, they used to be friends. It's personal.
He didn't say it was personal. He
did.
He just said, no. He said they used to be better friends. And there's definitely something going on there. A.J. Brown was then asked about it the next day, and he said, we're good. We've talked. Everything's fine. Our relationship is personal. That's what was said. A.J. Brown saying to the press that his relationship is personal, meaning I don't have to give you any more fucking information about my relationship with. That's exactly what was said.
All right, I'm going to go back and look.
You say Brandon Graham said it was personal.
Yes.
No, he did not say that.
All right, well, I'll check the tape on that one.
Anyway,
all right, let's move on. Who's your pick?
Well, here's the problem.
This is an aside. We don't have
it's
time.
It's a lot of bullshit, but the fact that there's this crazy bullshit, there's tension. There is this tension about remembering last year how it collapsed.
Exactly.
So I'll tell you that. And on top of it, this is not the team to go try to prove that you can throw the ball 30 times to A.J. Brown down the sideline. This team's decent secondary, right? And you don't want to force the ball. Pittsburgh's very good at the point that they'll see and they'll notice if they're forcing the ball to AJ. That's when they're going to roll coverage in and fool Hurts. So I would say stick with Smith. At least this game.
Oh God, that'll just make things worse.
Well, they've also been very diligent in they've used Saquon, they've worked Saquon, but they haven't done it as much as they could have. They've kind of given him a little bit of a breather. This is a game where it's like, screw it. They'll run the shit. They should run the shit out of the ball. But knowing the Eagles, because of all the drama, they're going to try to force the ball into A.J. Brown one too many times. And in a close game, I expect this to be played below the 20s on both sides. If not, one just pops over a little bit, like a 21-17 score. I'm looking more like 18-15, something like that. And I think the field goal kickers are going to have a big part in the scoring. So I actually like Pittsburgh.
Okay. Good. All right. Next game is the Bills at the Lions. This could be the most interesting game of the week. Lions, I don't know if I said it, are 2.5 point favorites. So Taylor Decker is going to be back on the offensive line for the Lions this week. Bills do have quite a few injuries in their secondary. So safety DeMar Hamlin is questionable. Safety Taylor Rapp is questionable. And cornerback Rasul Douglas has already been ruled out. Now, you can run on the Bills, which is obviously what the Lions want to do. You can't really run on the Lions. I still don't know how Josh Allen is doing what he's doing because he doesn't have much at receiver. Now, obviously, when it comes down
He's got Cooper now
to it, yeah, but what has he done?
Yeah, but he's drawing coverage.
Oh, okay.
The other guys are open. What are you talking about? He just scored like 40 points.
Amari Cooper?
No, I'm talking about the Bills.
Oh, I know. And we saw, if you let me finish, we saw it last week when it came down to it in the Rams game, Josh Allen started running a lot more. So he will do that in these big games when he has to. Dan Campbell is obviously
good doing it too. He's pretty strong. Dan
Campbell is obviously aggressive. So he's going to do the go for it on fourth down type things. And to me in general, I don't even know anything really about the Bills defense. Can you name me one player on their defense?
Hamlin.
Yeah, exactly. And
it's not because of his defensive prowess.
Yeah, but he was inactive for all of. He's only playing now because they have other people injured. So I just think they're not a physical defense. Obviously, the Lions are a very physical team, and I just think I gotta go Lions. Lions are 4-0 in games decided by 3 points or less.
Yeah.
A lot of people on the Bills. 75% of the bets, 62% of the money on the Bills.
I'm on the Bills. Let's not forget they lost that game last week, so I think they're still hungry.
Like the Lions more.
I feel like it's going to be the opposite of last week. The Lions won. They're going to lose this week. The Bills lost last week. They're going to win this week, right? Lions are 2.5 point favorites at home. The Bills are 6-2 against the spread in their last 8, 7-1 straight up in their last 8. They're getting points, so the straight up, comes into play here. They're 7-1 straight up in their last 8.
Yeah, I got to go
9-2 straight up in their last 11 versus the NFC for the Bills.
Okay, I like the Lions.
The Lions haven't lost since week 2, so they're due for a loss. I think this is it.
Well, maybe they're not. Maybe they're just not going to lose.
They're going to lose. It's just a matter of which, at least, is going to be 1 or 2 games because they still have division matchups here. It's going to be tough against, I think, the Packers and the Vikings still coming up. So.
No, they already played the Packers twice.
Did they?
Yeah. They might have the Vikings again. All right. So you're on the Bills. I'm on the Lions. Next game is the Packers at the Seahawks. Packers are 2.5-point favorites. Green Bay coming off their loss to the Lions last week. Seattle, after coming off their bye week, they have won 4 straight. San Francisco, the Cardinals twice, which, like I said before, is just a weird one of those division things, and the Jets, who suck, right? So it's kind of like earlier in the season where I felt like a lot of people were on the Seahawks thinking like, oh, the Seahawks are good, and they just really didn't play anybody. I kind of get that feeling now. I think the Packers are the better team, so I'm going to go Packers.
All right. Well, I like the Seahawks here. This is the Sunday 8:20 game, right? Packers are 2.5-point favorites on the road against Seattle. I just think it doesn't make sense. I'm going to take Seattle. Did they lose last week, right?
Seattle won against Cardinals.
They won, so what are they, 4 or 5 in a row?
Lost. They're in 3rd place. They're 6 and whatever, I guess.
I like Seattle. I think they close strong. I think the Packers, it's a tough game at home, so.
All right. And then we have 2 Monday night games. That is the Sunday night game we just talked about. Now we have 2 Monday night games. The Bears at the Vikings. Vikings are up to 7-point favorites in this one. This is the only division game other than the Thursday night game. Is that weird? I feel like there's always more division games. These teams did play in week 12. Vikings won that in overtime by 3 points, but it was a game where the Vikings pretty much dominated the first half. The Bears came back in the second. Bears couldn't do anything last week, even though somewhere I want all the Bears players to know that somewhere Matt Eberflus was watching and he was smiling. This is their second road game, and they are 0-6 on the road this year. I talked about before how Eberflus and the Bears, I think the record is 3-18 in road games since he was the coach, and they had no road wins on a Sunday. What are you doing over there? Darnold obviously lit it up last week. Who did they play? The Falcons?
Yeah.
I don't trust the Bears. Bears cost me a lot of money last week because they had a pretty good week, and they were the one game that didn't come through. And I think there's something to this whole road thing. And who's the guy, Thomas Brown? He might have done good while he was the offensive coordinator for a couple of weeks, but it didn't seem like head coaching was really his thing. I don't like the Vikings necessarily as 7-point favorites.
That's the problem for me.
Either.
Too many points.
It's a lot of points.
So
I think what's important is to forget last week, because that's where I think you get in trouble when you're betting. Because otherwise, we did see the Bears come back in quite a few games, the Lions game. So the Bears maybe are the right side.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bears. It's just too many points. I don't love them necessarily.
I think I just put it in a teaser.
Yeah.
Do it that way.
Over 10.
No, I'm not talking about the Bears. I'm talking about the Vikings.
The Vikings?
I do like the Vikings, but I don't like the 7.
Yeah, I'll take the 7.
So I think put it in with something else. I'll put that in with the Chiefs and call it a day.
But it's weird. There's 2 8:00 games on Monday. Well,
yeah, they're only like 15 minutes off or something. Yeah. All right, and then the final game of the week is the Falcons at the Raiders. Falcons are 3.5-point favorites. The Falcons have lost their last 4 in those games. Cousins has 0 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. The Raiders, a pretty bad defense overall. Their run defense is 32nd in DVOA, so they have been relying on Bijan a lot. I think this is a good spot for them and a good spot for Cousins to try to get things back on track. They are now behind the Bucs in their division We are not sure who the starting quarterback for the Raiders is going to be. Aiden O'Connell apparently was like carted off last week, but it's not like serious. He was DNP on the injury report today. If it's not him, it would be Desmond Ridder. It would be a revenge game for Desmond Ridder. But I think overall this is going to be a spot for Cousins to get back on track.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to take the Raiders because they're getting more than a field goal at home, and I just don't like the way the Falcons are playing. I don't like the things I'm hearing about Cousins, the games I'm watching. You're waiting for him to come back around, but he just looks physically done. Like, he's got no zip on the ball. It's not the Kirk Cousins we're used to seeing, and I think the Raiders can at least get their defense flying around where they can keep this game close. I like the Raiders. I'll take 3.5 all day.
Okay. All right, so that is going to do it for us for week 15. If you're watching, like and subscribe, and so much for half an hour. We're at 45 minutes, dear. Peace out.
Let's go, Eagles.